Well, this wasn't what I had planned for today. We're all locked down with the storm and it is wild and blowing a hoolie. So needless to say, when I have a day in the house, I go to my kitchen and I bake. So today I'm thinking I'm going to make some meringues and a pavlova for Sunday. I'd quite like to make a cake, maybe. I was thinking a lemon drizzle, but hubby fancies a coffee cake. So seeing as how he's going to be eating most of it, I will make him a coffee cake, but I think I'll make it in a loaf tin maybe instead of a sandwich cake. So that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the pavlova and the meringues into the oven. So I have my oven on at 120 just to warm up. I've got greaseproof paper on a baking sheet and I need to put egg whites into my mixer. So I'll start with, I'm going to do some meringues and some and a pavlova, so I think I'll do 6 eggs. 6 eggs, so 6 egg whites. There we go, that's the first one. And this is reminiscent of COVID. Being locked down for the day. Well, thankfully it's only a day and hopefully everybody's safe. We're keeping an eye on our fence, which is blowing backwards and forwards beautifully. Our poor neighbour across the road has lost about, I'd say about 8 of his ridge tiles. Friends of ours just out towards Dundonald direction have lost power. So just don't know, I'm hoping I get these baked and that the power doesn't go off and then I end up with half-baked cake and half-baked meringues. So this is a bit of a risk, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it and see what happens. So that's 4 in so far, and that's 5. I just find baking and cooking so therapeutic. In a crisis, go to the kitchen, that's my saying. These are lovely big eggs, so that's lovely. So there we go, that's the 6. And now we need some caster sugar. Let's see, I forgot. Ever check to make sure? Oh, I do. Thankfully I've got lots of caster sugar. I didn't even think to check that before I started baking. I just assumed that my cupboard is full of all things baking material wise. So if you're doing 6 eggs, you do 12 ounces of sugar, so it's sort of 2 ounces of sugar to every egg. And I'm just going to put the mixer on. So I'll turn the video off for a wee minute or two because it'll be very loud. So we'll just pause for a minute while this beats up. As you can see, the egg white is beaten up nicely, and it always looks a wee bit sort of almost dry when you get to this point, and it's lovely and firm. You can see I have you propped up in old Jamie Oliver recipes, recipe books. I'm a bit big fan of Jamie Oliver. So I digress. So I'm going to now gradually add in the sugar. So I'll put the mixer back on and just gradually add it in. I'll show you how I do that. I'll put the mixer back on again. And then I usually gradually tap in the sugar until it's all low, but very, very small amounts at a time. You can do it with a spoon, of course, but I make these so often that I just kind of shortcut a little bit. And I just feed in a little bit of caster sugar and keep it beating the whole time on steady speed. And then once it's all in, I will put the speed up a little bit and keep beating the egg white and sugar until it's really lovely glossy and stiff. And then also you want to stop it and just test a little bit of it and make sure you can't feel any of the those gritty sugary granules in your mixture, so that you know that your sugar is fully dissolved into the egg white. So let's do that. Gradually adding it in. Hope you can hear me over the top of this noisy mixer. She is my baking magician, but she's quite noisy. Wouldn't live without her. Absolutely adore her. Best mixer I've ever had. Right, so I'm just stirring much faster now. You can see the egg whites and the sugar, the meringue starts to get really, really shiny and meringue-like. And then I'll just stop it for a wee minute. I can see a wee bit of sugar around the edge of the bowl, so I'm going to just scrape around the bowl and get the sugar. Just make sure it's all mixed in. And give it so the way to test it to see if the sugar is dissolved into your meringue is just to rub it together between your fingers, and if you can still feel sugar granules in the mix, then you need to mix it for a little bit longer. So I can still feel a little bit of sugar in there, so I'm going to just mix it for another minute or so. Test and see if it's just another wee minute or two. Should be us now. So you can see that there's lovely peaks, and it's lovely and glossy and shiny. Looks great. So let's say I want a mixture of meringues and sort of a pavlova. So I'm going to draw around a dinner plate to give me the rough shape of the pavlova. It's maybe just a wee bit on the big side because it's going to pop up. Let's have a slightly smaller plate. This is one of my bigger side plates, so I should draw, that's better. I should draw around that. And it's advisable to turn the paper upside down. So turn the paper over so that you don't get pencil on your, you just need a wee bit of meringue now to stop this paper from moving, so you don't get pencil mark on your base of your pavlova. So I'm going to spoon the pavlova and pipe the meringues, I think is what I'm going to do. This is really very much ad hoc, as they say. Oh Lord, honestly, do you see the noises from the wind and the... Don't like it a lot. Right, I don't think you can see what I'm doing, so let's... I see I haven't really improved in my camera skills since COVID days. That's a good 5 years ago. I haven't, oh yeah. Okay, we're just going to pause and straighten up the camera. Okay, hopefully that'll work. So I'm going to now spoon some of the mix. Honestly, you can see this is just an ad hoc kind of approach to life, wasn't it? Rather than a planned one, because it's all a bit hit and miss. So I'm just putting it on, and I'll spread it out towards the edge of my circle. Bearing in mind this is going to puff up nicely, all being well. I'm thinking I might do a lemon, sort of blueberry meringue for this. Now I'm just going to sort of put little blobs around the outside of it, sort of to give it a bit of an edge to it, which you could pipe easily, but I'm just going to do it with a spoon. Now there's only 4 of us on Sunday, so we don't need a massive pavlova, so this is probably big enough for 4. Let's have a look. Do you think this is big enough? Yes. I'm just going to kind of rough up the edge a bit. I think I need a wee bit more in this wee spot here. There we go. Just kind of rough it up, and then that'll give it a little bit of decoration on the outside. Yes, I'm thinking of cream with lemon curd through it, and maybe a little bit of lemon zest, and then some blueberries on top, because I love the combination of blueberries and lemons. So I think that's going to be my little pavlova base. And now I'm going to pipe the rest into meringues that I can cream together. We can use those in our coffee club that we have with our old folk. So I have a piping bag and a large sort of, I don't know what you call that. Is it like a fluted nozzle? So it gives the meringues a nice shape. So I shall spoon my meringue into my piping bag. I might need to do another batch of this, but as we do for today, because I haven't got enough eggs and the spar isn't open and I want to make the cake, so this is as much meringue as we're getting today. So at least we've got pudding for Sunday and we'll have a cake for the weekend. So get those, as much of this in as I can get. I've been watching Junior Bake Off for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm looking forward to the final tonight, but oh my goodness, they give me a nervous breakdown. The little bakers, bless them, they are so gung-ho about everything. And I watch with my sort of behind my hands sometimes as they flip cakes over and do all sorts. So I'm just going to pipe. Again, I don't make them too big because I know they're going to puff up in the oven. Yeah, I'm going to have to make more, but if I can get, will I get 6? Will I get 6? You always have to remember when you're making meringues that you need 2. So obviously, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a wee tiny wee bit, so I'll make just one little extra one, just not to waste it. So we'll get 6 meringues and a pavlova. So I'm going to put them in the oven. I've got the oven at 120. I like to just do 120 for an hour, and then I leave them in the oven for another hour to really dry out. And as the oven cools down, it really dries out, gives them a nice crispy outside, but then nice chewy inside. And that's the way I like my pavlova as well. I don't like my pavlova sort of like, do you know that sort of fluffy, fluffy kind of center to it? I like mine to be chewy. So that's what I'm aiming for. So they'll go in for, basically they'll be about the next 2 hours. So as I say, I'm hoping I get an hour here without a power cut. Seems to have calmed down a little bit, but then that happened earlier and then suddenly whoosh again. So I'll not be fooled until we're convinced it stopped, but I will go and put these in the oven and come back to you. Okay, so the meringues are in the oven and the wind is howling again, so ignore what I last said. So I'm going to make a coffee cake. I've decided I'm going to make a sandwich cake because I remembered I had lots of little bits of icing left over from before Christmas when I had my cake sale. So I've got like little bits and bobs of, there's quite a lot of vanilla there, but I've also got a coffee. So what I thought is I'll defrost all of that and mix it together and add a bit more coffee to it. And then that will be the icing. So I have enough icing for a sandwich cake. So I have greased and lined my 8-inch, sorry about that, our 8-inch cake tins, sandwich tins. And I'm going to do an all-in-one just because it's quick and easier. So for that sort of tin, I do 8 ounces of caster sugar, 8 ounces of butter, 8 ounces of self-raising flour, and 4 eggs. Or if in grams, which I should be talking about, it's equal quantities. I think that's 200, 200, 200, and still 4 eggs. So first of all, caster sugar. I still, for baking, for whatever reason, I still work in, for cakes, I operate in grams because, in ounces, because I just find it so much easier. But some of my other recipes, yes, they are in grams, but just what's in my head. So that's what's in my head. So there we are, that's the 8 ounces of caster sugar into the bowl. 8 ounces of stork or equivalent. See, 8 ounces, nearly. Tiny little bit more. The good thing with stork is it's already been beaten. So if you're doing an all-in-one recipe, stork's about, something that's like this sort of baking marge is better rather than a block. That you really need to do the technique where you cream your butter and your sugar before you add in your flour and eggs, but with stork it's not so vital. The same quantity then of self-raising flour, just let me check, yes, self-raising flour. And to that I'm going to add, just to give the cake a little bit of help, I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Level teaspoon of baking powder. There we go. Done, that's with the weighing scales. Then I've got 4 eggs. So let me just tip you down a wee bit more so you can maybe see what I'm at. 4 eggs. And then I've just mixed a little bit of instant coffee with some warm water just till it dissolves. And what I've done is, I think there's about 3 teaspoons to that little cup, and I'm going to use half of it for the cake and keep the other half to add to my icing. So then I'm just going to put the mixer on, and you need to mix it for a good minute, or maybe a wee bit more, until everything is very smooth and you know that all the ingredients are mixed in well. I'm just covering this so it doesn't go all over the walls. I'm going to lift you back up again a wee bit. Yes, this is my trick for keeping icing sugar, any ingredients from flying all over the place. I did have like a little plastic lid, but I found that a real nuisance, so this is much easier. So I'm going to beat that for about a minute. Looking quite good. I'll just tip you down again. Pardon all that in the background. Just going to give it a good stir. Just make sure I get all around the edges of the bowl, right down to the bottom. Make sure I get all the ingredients mixed in together. It's good consistency, but just needs another wee minute just to get all those ingredients just mixed. Another wee bit. We're nearly there, and really that's so quick, and I can smell the coffee. It's lovely, and It's a good coffee colour for a start, and I can smell the coffee in it as well, so it's nice. I'll pause you for a minute while this is beating. So if you can see, I don't know if you can, it's lovely and light and fluffy, and all the ingredients are mixed together. So that is well and truly beaten and ready to put into tins. Again, it can be used in cupcakes, loaf tin, or sandwich tin. For a loaf, I would normally, for a 2 pound loaf, I would normally do 6 ounces of sugar, flour and butter, and then 3 eggs, because that's usually big enough. Otherwise they tend to overflow in your tin. So that'll give you a good sized loaf. And then that's just the rumble. So we've got the let's just turn you around a wee bit. 2 cake tins, and I'm just going to divide the mixture evenly between the 2. Smells so good. Now, let's just make sure we don't leave anything behind. There we go. And I'm going to take that off the edge there, just keep it nice and tidy. That was what was getting to me with the wee ones. They were very messy, bless them, and a bit gung-ho with the way they were baking. So, but they made some beautiful things, so I can't wait to see the final today, to see who wins. I'm just spreading that out to the edges, making sure it's even all round. And that's going to go into a preheated oven of 160 fan, and for about 25 to 30 minutes, and we'll check it after 25 and see what it looks like. There we go. So I'm going to put those in the oven now, and I'll come back to you when they're baked. So it's about an hour and a bit later, and the meringues have been in for an hour, and they've been in about maybe 20 minutes just with the temperature off, drying out, so they need to do a little bit longer, but you can see they're risen beautifully. They should sound hollow whenever you touch them, and they're just going to go back into the oven, and they're just going to sit there until the oven cools. And then the pavlova base, let's not tip it. The pavlova base is lovely and risen. A little bit of a dip in the middle for the cream and the blueberries. I'm thinking actually maybe I'll make a wee blueberry compo, but that's for Sunday, so we'll see how that. I'll put a post up on Instagram showing the pavlova when it's all creamed up and decorated, but delighted with that. So they're just going to sit in there and cool until the oven goes completely cold. And you always leave the door ajar a little bit so that any steam can come out, because you don't want that to stay in the oven, and then that will make the meringues go soft, so you don't want that. So then my coffee cake is looking lovely, and I have, what's the other bit there? So then I mixed together all the icing I had left over, and I've added the rest of the coffee that I had, the coffee mixed with a little bit ground coffee, instant coffee, get my words out, instant coffee mixed with some water. I put the rest in there, so that's got a lovely coffee flavour. Now what the other thing I've just prepped as well for icing is I've melted down Biscoff. So this is a smooth one, and I love this for decorating coffee cakes. So I have actually melted it down and put it into a little piping bag, and then I'll cut off the end when I'm ready to drizzle it through the top of the cake. And you can put it a bit in the middle as well, which is quite nice. Some people don't really like the texture of Biscoff, but I quite like it. So it's there to drizzle and finish the top of the cake. So I'm going to tip the camera down so that you can see me just quickly icing the coffee cake. So hopefully you can see, there we go, that's perfect. So I'm just going to go around the edge little small florets or little bits of pipe. And again, I've got a little flower nozzle. And I like to do this around the edge so that whenever you put the next layer on top, you'll have a lovely decorative edge to the cake and to that icing layer. And I'm just then going to just put a wee swirl in the middle, and then I'm going to take my palette knife and just spread that out to meet the florets. I'm calling them florets, I don't know. I think I might just have made that up, but. And then let's just drizzle a little bit of Biscoff in the middle of this, just to add a little bit of flavour. So literally just taking the very tip off my nozzle, off my piping bag. Oh, obviously haven't quite, oh, it's hardened a little bit because I've had it sitting there for a wee minute or two. So let's see if we can get it to drizzle and come out in a big, ooh, there we go. So just a drizzle. Okay, and then I'm going to take the next layer of the cake. Oh, oopsies, what happened there? It's just popped off. So then I'm just going to place it on top. And you see what I mean? You can see the lovely piped icing all the way around, sort of finishes it nicely. So that's on, which is lovely. And then I'm just going to do the same again. So I'm going to just pipe all the way around. Make sure I've got enough. Hopefully I've got enough in this piping bag. There's not a lot left. A little bit optimistic with that. Let's see if I can get enough icing to do the middle. Right. Well, this is using up all sorts, so, and it is for home, not for customers. So, well, shouldn't say that. Hubby's my customer today, so I'm just going to spread that out as far as the ideally just a little bit more icing, but we're getting a cover on it all right. And I'm going to put some sprinkles on and some Biscoff as well, so let's make sure we've got plenty. So I'm just going to... Lovely. Okie dokie. Now, let's do a drizzle of the Biscoff again. So I'm just going to go across the ways. And then stop. Turn the cake totally round and then just go the other way. I just love the effect this gives the top of a cake. And then it just is lovely with a coffee flavoured cake. And then I've just got some, again, probably left over from Christmas. There's gold stars and gold sprinkles and a few silver balls, but I don't want any of the silver. I'm just going to use a little bit of this just to go around the edge. There we go. No, I think that's enough of that. Lovely. I am delighted with that. Now let's just put the camera back up again. I am delighted with my cake. Oh, that looks so good. So never say time is wasted when you're confined to home in the worst storm that's been for decades. And I have to say it has been absolutely vile. So I hope you're all safe. I hope you all managed to keep electricity. I know some of you haven't, but fortunately I did. So I got my cake made and my meringues made. But I am delighted with this, and I have my pavlova and my meringues as well. So very productive morning. So I hope you're safe. I hope you will make some cake and enjoy it. and hopefully these winds will die down, and I might pop on here again soon with some other recipes when the storm is not blowing in the background. So